Welcome to PM Personality Profile. My name is Nana Ansakwao, the fourth Chief of the Little Republic of Akwamwedumas, and today I'm really excited. Indeed, I'm sure we can all testify that the guests who have shown up on this show have shared amazing stories, which, you know, as the wise will say, there's no knowledge that is useless knowledge. And today is one of such shows. I'm even excited. Now, for those of you who thought it was too late, you want to stay and listen to this interview. If you thought it was too late, you will be amazed. Folks, how it is that, quote unquote, an illiterate will set up a superstar school and start educating people. I call that determination. And that's the story I'm bringing you today. The number one, it's not too late to start. And number two, you have to be determined. Don't go away. When I come back, I'm talking to Reverend Emmanuel Mustafa of the Dittany Baptist Church, all the way in Yendi, even though I'm sat here at the airport, a Crown Apartamento. But you will be amazed about how rich people's lives are. We've always seen their glory and their fanfare, but you know what? It's always good to share in their story. Don't go away. We're coming straight back. Well, thank you very much. This is the exciting bit. Let me once again say thank you to Crown Apartamento. They always, give us their serene environment to do our interview. So we say, kudos to them. And for you out there, if you want to visit Crown, why not make a point to visit? But this is the interesting bit where we get inquisitive with our guest. Sat right here with me is Reverend Emmanuel Kwabena Mustafa. Rev, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nana.
And Yendi to airport is a great deal of determination and sacrifice.
Indeed.
I was lucky to catch you in Accra. And I thought, you know what, let me squeeze this story out of you before you disappear up to the north. Yeah. But I want to go all the way back to Asia, nearly 60 years ago.
Yeah.
What was growing up like?
Like you said, I'm greeting your audience, and it's such a blessing to have been privileged for you to become my brother.
Yes,
and also coming to this show. I hail from Kumasi, Aija.
Okay.
My mom is an Ashanti, and my father, I would say, is a Moshi who brought me up.
Okay.
So I settled my life between Kumasi and Boko, and other places. My mom was a traveler, so she lived in other parts of the country, even in Ivory Coast. So it was later in my life when I became a professional driver and I moved to Kumasi to work in KJTR that I came back to Aija and live in Yati Yati. So most people, as they speak and watch me today, even don't know I'm from the place.
I see.
So my life there, until recently my mother died and I came to do her funeral, many people didn't know I'm from there, but mostly I've been associated to the north.
I see. But you see, I'm just intrigued about, you became a truant at a quite early age.
Yes. The issue is that, sometimes religion can be fussy.
Yeah.
My mom and my sisters and other siblings were Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I voice it out clearly that I don't want to be one of the Jehovah's Witnesses and I don't like the faith. So he created some MBT and other things, so I had to leave home and start life on my own. Wow. As a matter of fact, the reason that I even didn't get educated, let me say today properly, is that they said Armageddon was coming and I will be destroyed very soon. So there is no need for them to invest in me those days. So my mom used to do a chop bar. So she asked me that it's better to join because I have no destiny. At her funeral, I said that, and everybody went, but today, look at where I am.
Armageddon was coming. You were definitely doomed for hell.
Yes.
So there was no need paying school fees. Just only to go back to hell.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's what sometimes religion without understanding can be.
So you were hanging around like the lorry parks?
Well, the issue is, I myself also was a bad boy, okay? Because when you don't have a parental care,
Yeah.
and I rise up, I was notorious. I mean, some of the things that I did, and I always tell people that if we are using background profile, I don't deserve to be a pastor.
Wow.
Because I don't have any credential to become a pastor, but it's just the grace. So think about anything that any young boy would do. I have done it.
Wow. 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 So
From
you,
A to Z, I have done it. So within that time, I acquainted myself with the lorry station. I have washed cars, I have made shoes, I have even done yadiye.
okay.
Put quota and ashes together to leak people's roof. I have done all those things. And then as I work in car washing and acquaintance with the people, I became a driver. And for driving, that has been my passion for my life. So not being in school, I determined and devoted to become a driver. And when it comes to driving, I have PhD.
But you started driving at a very early age.
Very, very young. In fact, I remember those days, it took me 7 sessions before the license officer gave me my first license, which was B.
Okay.
Because I was very young. I could drive, but I was very young.
Wow. Wow. And so you started life as a driver.
As a driver, in fact, let me tell you this. When I was a taxi driver in Domahinkro, those days, I went and impregnated somebody's daughter who was Form 2. And the man wanted to kill me, so I ran away to Sefi.
Have you followed up to find out where they are?
The child passed away, so
Oh.
that time they didn't survive.
Oh.
But through that, the driving brought me to Sefi. From Sefi, I came to Kumasi, and that is where I used to live in Bekwai Runabout.
Okay.
And then a friend of ours find a place. He's passed away in KJT, Kumasi Yati Yati. And then 17 of us were living in that house as a boy. So some of us were sleeping on the veranda. And if the landlord makes a new room, then the next person online gets it. And I was the youngest, so I got the bathroom that was turned into a bedroom for me. And that is how I started. But with the driving, I became very successful.
Okay.
And I knew that the driving is something that I would do for life. And that is what I was doing.
So where did your pastoral thing come in if you were driving?
That is amazing, Nana. One, I was a very devout Muslim. Yeah. And I respect Islam, and I love to be part of it. In fact, I sit here today and I'm surprised I'm a pastor. Because if there is one thing in life that I would have thought of to be, it's not being in church. Because I knew the church, and I consciously made up my mind that I would never be part of the church. And I love to be part of the Muslim Islamic team, and I was part of it. But to cut it long short, 9th December 1991 is when the grace of God found me whilst I was driving. And Jesus himself appeared to me and asked me to follow him.
Did you rebel?
Yes, I did. Because sometimes when people don't know you, they don't know how far you have come.
Yeah.
Because one, I was also doing some occultism to protect myself, to make money. And I did a lot of things. So inwardly, always, I think that there is power I want to reach. So every step I go, I feel that I need to go up. So I was seeking that within my life. Then one day I was driving, and I was actually specifically 9th December 1991. I was going to Sefi also. So between Sefi Bekwai and Sefi also. And in fact, I was very popular there as a driver, and everybody knows me. One of my name, they call me Alaji. I have never been to Mecca, but because of
your faith, yeah.
Yeah, so on the way, the car has a problem. And being a professional driver, I did all my first aid mechanism so that I can fix the car, and it didn't work. So I gave up, and I slept in the car. So 1 a.m. precisely, I mean, anytime I'm talking about this, I can see it clear. A man with a glorious white came into the car. Today I can say Jesus, but that time I didn't know it was Jesus. So he came into the car whilst I was sleeping, and he tapped me, and he asked me to follow him, and he will show me where I can get the power for life. And you know, he hit the trigger, because I need power. Yeah. And when he said power, so I followed him, and we went to a place, and all that I could see was people were clapping and singing this song, Ejano wo to me, Ejano wo to me, and I go like, I told him that this is church. I don't want to be part of it. And he asked me to join them. I said, no, this is church. So when I said no, I came back to myself, and I was sitting in the car. And my dad and people have given me some things that if I encounter problems, I recite them and protecting myself with. So I got up and feel that there was an evil spirit in the environment, and therefore I need to pray. So I started reciting all that I know, and then I slept again, and the man came again. We went there, the same place, same song, same people, second time, and I refused. And he left me. So when I got up, I said I won't sleep again. And I was praying that there will be a passerby vehicle, because there is evil spirits in where the car is, so that I can run away. And no car came. And I sat down. So around, what can I do? I slept again. Then the man came again. So when we talk about the grace of God finding a sinner, that is the unique thing about the gospel and Christ. Because I had not done nothing, I don't deserve it, but his eyes were still on me. So he came the third time. And when he came the third time, we went there, and I gave up. So I joined in the trance. It started around 3 o'clock, 9 a.m. in the morning, I couldn't wake up. Cars were passing, people were waking me up. I never got up. So when I came back to myself, I became so sad and thought that I've gone into the ancestral world, so I won't live for long. So I shut my mouth, never told anybody, and then find a mechanic. When he came, it took him less than 5 minutes to fix the car, which I couldn't. So I came home very sad, and then sleep. So I took my bath.
How old are you by then?
I was 31.
Okay.
Because I was born in 60. Yeah, and I have a complex date of birth also. We'll talk about it. Okay. So I was 31. Not married. I mean, using the girls the way I want. So marriage was not something that I was into, living by myself. So I decided that I will bath and do everything. So when I sleep and die, people can come and then take me and go and bury. So I made all those things arrangements and slept on the floor. 3 a.m., the man came back into my room, and he tapped me and said, go and tell the world what you have seen. So then I got up from my room, and I started talking about Jesus is Lord. For 3.5 hours, I did it in the neighborhood that everybody knows I'm a Muslim. It was like a shame on me, and that is it.
So did they wonder what is happening to him?
Yes. In fact, some people thought that
this guy is
because I used to, the Jagger man, I used to take those things. So everybody thinks that
that's it.
He's going. So, but I did that for 3.5 hours, and I came home. The Christians in the community were so excited and came and prayed for me, but nobody shared the gospel with me and left me. So my friend Muslims came, they talked to me, I was started to talk, they got angry and left. But for 6 months, I became the most miserable person in the world.
Wow.
Because I was not a Muslim, I was not a Christian, I was not a traditionalist. I don't know who I was. And the gospel has not been preached to me. So there I met a lady who was sharing the gospel. She looked at my face and said, let me explain what it means Jesus came, died, and resurrected, and what is an implication. As soon as she did that, everything I saw came together. And I kneeled down and I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior.
Amen.
So that is how my pastoral journey started.
Now, so 31.
Yeah.
By this time, you haven't been to school.
Nana, even English
Was a problem.
was a problem. And I didn't know anything. And I haven't also read the Bible. And here I find myself in the faith. So this woman that I give credit to all the time, her name is Madam Comfort, who was an evangelist. And she helped me to start reading the Bible. And I decided that I will go to Bible school. So that time, all the way, Krobo Dumasi, between Agomenya and Mampong, there is where the hospital is. There used to be a Bible school there called Kairos Bible Institute. That is where I walked in. And I said, I'm coming to school. And they asked me, how am I coming? I said, I have a driver's license. In fact, I don't play with my driver's license. That is my...
That's your pride.
That is my pride, because I hold license A, which now we call it F. And for that, because I drive anything.
Wow.
I mean...
Articulated trucks.
No, yeah. I've been articulator, driver, big trucks. In fact, I was part of the first 3 drivers who drove the V engine in this country. Okay. The ZF and all those things is on my fingertip. And I got training. So when it comes to driving, I tell people don't go there. So, and I still love it, you know. Yeah.
That's good.
So, no English, nothing. I remember one of our lecturers called Saki. Maybe he's listening to me now. They have to teach me with tree in the classroom. I mean, and I was so determined that I've come, and nothing. Wow. So recently I took my first notes I made, and I was still laughing myself. So I got the students and my friends started helping me in that. And my story in the Christian journey is also interesting. Mm. There was a church planter who also planting churches in that area. Mm-hmm. And he comes to the school to pick students to go and preach. Mm-hmm. And the day he came, all the students were gone and I was the only one. And the principal didn't want to give me to him. He was very, very...
This one can speak English.
So I said, this guy, now that we are training, and the man insisted that if I can mention the name of Jesus, I should go. And that was New Life Baptist Church in Somanya. Wow. So what happened was that I went there. I don't know what I say, but the church said that all the students that have come there, they like me. And they asked me to become their pastor.
Oh, really?
Yes. This is how I came in. So I became the church leader and the pastor. And then that church, their mother church is Gateway Baptist Church in Tema. Mm-hmm. So they brought me to Tema to do what we call justify your inclusion. And I preached 3 days. I don't know what I said, but the people got so excited, the Spirit of God moved, and then they took me to Tema Comtier to make a crusade. And 100 people gave themselves to their life. Wow. And about 6 people in the church looked at me and said, this guy, we need to help him. One, Nana Sapon, blessed memory, he has passed away. Dakumensa, Tony, Kojuamoa and Okos, Mrs. Irene Dakumensa, they organize and get me teachers to teach me and help me. One of the people who taught me is Mr. Weja. And then, Mami, there was a woman who used to do a mankomo on the account program. Yeah, yeah. She was a tree teacher at Tamasco. She gave me Obede. So I picked 5 subjects and then organized myself. So I wrote my O-levels at Chemu. I registered, and that's where I wrote the whole level.
What, about 35?
Yes, that was 35, 36. I remember when we were doing the thing, the students would come to help. We also they were teasing me. But the funny thing is that I did well in economics because my economics teacher told me that the best thing is to make the diagram. So I concentrate on the diagram. The Bible was okay. And then Chi, I read the Obede. And then English, I was managing. And then government. But I knew nothing about government. So I sat down 5 p.m. and read the pamphlet all through till 7 a.m. in the morning. And I took my shower and went to exams room, and I got 9. the highest number. But the rest, I got them. I think I needed 6. But these people helped me. And when I finished, they encouraged me to write my A-levels. But there's one man in the story who also pushed me to read, was a leader in my church. His name is Randy. He may be watching the show, and he will be happy to hear his name. When I preach Sundays and I'm walking out, he will meet me and say, Pastor, I'll brought for you there. And this guy keeps saying it, and my heart was breaking. So one day I went to him. I said, Binimbrof. So how can you help me? He went to his room, brought all the grammar books and put them down. And I said, no, you need to teach me. As a matter of fact, Randy was one of the people who really have brought me to this level, speaking this kind of English this moment.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? So all this time you were playing in the South?
Yeah.
So what, I know, Daddy comes from the North, but what was the decision to say, okay, now I can speak English, I finished my O-level, A-level, I'm going?
I went to seminary. In fact, the seminary they accepted me just like that because I did not have the qualification. I have my driver's license. As for that one, I still have it. So they put me in class to audit the class. But by the grace of God, I completed with certificate in theology, and I'm proud to say that I was the best student in my class.
Whoa.
When we graduated in 99.
Whoa.
And I felt the sense of God's call to take the gospel back to the North, where the gospel has not been reached. And I accepted the call to go to the North. In fact, even my own denomination, it was a challenge. They didn't even have money for me to go. So 10th November 1999, I packed my wife and my daughter, who was 6 months, and we accepted the call to go to WA, and we moved to WA to start the mission work that I've done since today.
Wow. I mean, this, I'm not sure why if he would just say, oh yeah.
No, it was a struggle because she lives in Tema. She used to go to Grace Baptist Church, and she's a singer and everybody likes her. And picking her to go down on the hill, it was a challenge, but she accepted it and fought.
We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we're going to find out what life in the North was at first was indeed a true calling and the beginning of Northeastern Christian Academy. That's why I said, quote unquote, an illiterate setting up a first-class educational institute. Don't give up in life. We're coming straight back. It's never too late to start, and if you haven't gotten the children around the TV now, you should be getting them around the TV. And don't forget it to be repeated Sunday at 2 p.m. Once again, thank you to Crown Apartamento for giving us their premises to shoot this show. But also for this is just a story and a half, if I may say. So eventually you've moved Mrs. and a 6-month-old baby to WA, to now go and start up something. It's not as if there's a church you're going to go around.
No. I believe in apostolic foundation. I have called to be a missionary, and I break new grounds. But what people don't understand is when God calls you, He uses who you are. I'm a very good entrepreneur. And it contributes to the factor because the Ghana Baptist Convention didn't have funds to let me go. But I felt the urge and the call to go. So when I was going, but we were looking for 60 cities those days to even hire a car to take our things. It took us 6 months. So finally, when I got there, there is another man. I have a lot of names. Kojoinim was a bank manager for SSB Bank. So he gave us a small room at the top, at their strong room, you know, the top. Okay, so that's where we were. So when we got there, no money, nothing. So Kojo will go and buy kenke and get sadi, and that's what will be our lunch and the meal for the day with my family. And Kojo were good friends. So one night we were there and I woke my wife up. I said, how can we travel and come and sleep on money and we don't get rich? So let's pray. We are sleeping on money, we will get rich. So we started the work, no funds. So I went to bank and took a loan. Those days, 5 million, which is 500 Ghana cedis today. And you know, people, when they see me today, think that it's so rosy and you are picking it everywhere. So I went to bank and took that loan from SSB Bank. They took their commitment fee and I had 4,750 left. And I bought a car on credit. So the car was 8,000 and I deposit 4,500 from the bank's money. And then I used the 200 to repair the car. And as a professional driver, I will wake up 5 a.m. and load from Wa to Sola, 60 miles. So by 12 o'clock, I'll go back. And then I pay the bank loan, get some to feed my family, and help the ministry with. And do you know what God did? I took that loan, and 1 year, I made 38,000. Wow. That is the turning point in my life. Wow. So from that, I was supporting the pastors that I have recruited and I'm working with. I was buying stuff for the ministry. So it's through that car that a team rented. And when the team rented the car, as a driver, my friend you have met called Joe, I met him. And the Lord opened the door for me to go to the United States. And that was the beginning of the door. So I've never depended on anybody. I have worked my hand, and wherever I go, I find something that I can do to be able to help. In fact, I started a children's home called Wairi Children's Home, and the Lord opened the door for me to go to Holland, build with Rebel Bank to set up that children's home before we leave. So when I stayed in Wa for 5 years, this is how I supported myself. And all that I did for my denomination and things.
How many churches do you plant in Wa?
42.
Before you move?
Wow. And trained 25 leaders before I was leaving. And when I was leaving, even I left them with a van, with a cashew farm that they allow you to be bent and other things. Before I moved 2005, felt a strong God call to move to Yendi. So 18th March 2005, I left everything in Wa and pushed my family again for us to go and start. And then, do you know what? When I went there, I worked for Action Aid.
Okay.
I formed a company. In the night, I dreamed and formed a company. And that company, my job was to train herbalists. And that is what I did to support myself initially. And with the Americans' connections and the support, that is how I've supported myself.
So, I mean, you don't seem like an educationist.
Yes.
So, Northeastern Christian Academy.
That's another story.
I mean, why did you branch into education? There
Yes.
you are planting churches.
Honestly, every good missionary has 4 things to do. And if you have a good missiological background, you need to understand that. You consciously share the gospel, plant churches. When people believe, you constitute them into churches. And when you do that, you need to train leaders. And when you train in leaders, there is also infrastructural support that you need to give to the church. Now, when you do that, then the question is, if Christ were to be in this community, what need would Christ meet? So I do what I call appreciative inquiry. You know, people sit down and think that let's go here and do this. Do they really need it? Absolutely not. So my ministry do 4 things: church planting, training, infrastructure, and social ministry. So when we got to Yendi, I realized that there were schools, but they were not to the taste, because my children were coming from Danibu in Wa, which is a good school, because Wa had a good schools.
Okay.
And here we come. There was one school that my children were attending, Brighter Than Best. And I look at it and I say, no, I'll move my children. And anytime I try to move my children, God will not allow me. So it came to me that I should start a school. And I go like, starting a school? God, sometimes you are not serious. What do I know about education that you are telling me to start a school? So I went to United States. And fortunately, my friends were teachers. And I said, I want to start a school. They jump up. Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. So we loaded container of school supplies, tables and things, and brought it. But I still was limited. So finally I started talking to some friends, and they said, oh, if you do school for your children, we'll bring ours. So I went back, talked, and they gave me some guidelines, and I wanted a Christian school because the values, and my school is based on Luke 2:52. Jesus grew in wisdom, stature, favor with God, and favor with men. Okay, so intellectualism, spiritualism, socially acceptable, and also physically good. That is a complete person. So that is where our school started upon. So finally I managed and got somebody, a friend of mine who is also no school, and we decided to start.
Wow.
So 15 September 2008, 12 children started, which 4 of them were mine. And by the grace of God, people begin to see the concept and the things and the input, and now it has become the toast of Yendi.
Wow, wow, wow. I mean, so now it's from
K to JHS.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, we have almost about 1,000 students.
From 12.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. And we'll show the pictures on the screen so people will see the ambition with the overall. But with this investment, it means you're not coming back south, is it? You're done.
Well, you know, my life is committed to Yendi. I love Yendi, and the people of Yendi know I love Yendi. And if you say evil about Yendi, it pinches me because it's a place that God has established me. Now, let me tell you, if you have one candle to light, would you put it under street light? Absolutely not. Where darkness is, and the light will be more visible. There are so many pastors and things going on here. There is a choke and traffic of pastors. But I have been called to bring transformation and a change in a society that I've been called to.
How many churches have you planted in Yendi so far?
Nana, when we talk about churches, I can tell you the last 15 years, I have literally started 1,600 churches in the northeastern, Togo, Benin, Burkina Faso, and as far as to Gambia.
1,600. Yeah. Wow.
And even part in Brazil.
But I don't know if it's a good question, but is the mother church ready for all this expansion?
I don't think, honestly speaking, sometimes they even doubt. And that is one of the pain I have had. Because the kind of the movement that God is moving, it beats people's mind. And people have not responded the way I think they should have. And that's a frustration.
I guess you fight on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess you fight on. So, what's the next fate in your missionary work? Are you going to retire, or are you going to be a missionary till thy kingdom come?
Actually, in 2016, I decided to resign as a home missionary for the Ghana Baptist Convention and be a pastor for Dayton Baptist Church.
Okay.
And set up my own initiative that is called Global Mission Resource Center. The goal is to come back and resource the church to understand that our primary purpose of existence is missions. Nothing more, nothing less. Now people are chasing buildings, cars, and worldly things. None are we taking with us. Only the soul of the sinner that has been saved that we are taking to heaven. So for me, people believing and giving their life to Jesus Christ for transformation, worship and serve Him and share the gospel is what we move on. And that is what I believe. So the Global Mission Resource Center seeks to advance the gospel. And we are working in about 8 different countries now. And I'm still a Baptist. I love to be part of my Baptist family. But I think God has also given me a bigger and a larger responsibilities. And as I serve as a Baptist, but I also want to serve the global family.
Your date of birth, you said something about your date of birth. I don't want to miss that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was born in 21st June, 1960, but the one who was going to make my birth set made it 21st August. So my date of birth is 21st August, but I celebrate the two.
Maybe God, see that God loves you so much. He gave you 2 dates of birth. Now, you see, the sort of upbringing that you had.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you have 4 wonderful daughters. I mean, do you make that cautious effort to say, no, something, you are never going to go through what I went through, and then in turn get to spoil them? Or are you able to say, no, let me draw the line here?
No, the issue is that you need to train the child with principle. And you remember that I always tell you that there are 3 things in life that is important. You define your purpose, and your purpose will govern you. And the purpose is connected into God because it starts with God. Okay, so my goal is to make them define their purpose. I don't actually make rules for my children. You know what? When they step out, then they are going to say, have fun, but be responsible. That's our slogan. Okay. And I also be honest with the children that out there are these things there, so you need to make a right choices. So I want to support them. I want to help them. I don't want them to sleep at KJTR. I don't want them to sleep at the gas stations. I don't want people to take advantage of them. So I'm using my own stories and my life. And I tell them everything.
Wow.
For them to know who guys are and what guys can do. Because I've done it to a lot of people. So I don't spoil them. I make them work and I support them. So they define their purpose. They define their relations. And then moving on to what legacy would my life leave when I'm no more.
For an academic question, assuming one of your daughters came and said, no, Dad, I don't want to follow your faith anymore. Maybe I want to become a Catholic, Muslim, Presbyterian or something. I mean,
that's brilliant. We will sit down and talk. No, I mean, you see, the issue is that what is the difference between being a Muslim, being a Christian, and being a traditional religion? We have not engaged that. And when you are born in a garage, you are not a car. I was born opposite to university, but I don't have certificate. I need to make a conscious effort to be able to get that. So being born opposite to university, that didn't give me a degree. Okay, so the issue here is very simple. Right from childhood, we talk, we discuss, we share the faith, and make them make their own decisions. And I won't I won't throw them away because it affected me because I was not a Jehovah's Witnesses. I lost a lot of privileges. Okay. That shouldn't happen to them. They are still my children. I need to love them. We need to engage. Maybe showing them love will bring them back.
Bring them back. That's good. I mean, so Northeastern Academy. Do
Christian
you,
Academy.
Northeastern Christian Academy.
Bring the Christian for me.
Yes, Northeastern Christian Academy. Do you play any part, or you just sit back and let the school?
You know, every visionary, you articulate the vision and recruit people to help you to do the vision. I want a school. What kind of school do I want? I set up the parameters and recruit people to bring their knowledge, because I myself did not even have a knowledge with the school. And I'm counting on the people that I have. Until recently, this year, that I've decided to study deeper in well-being in education, and I go to England to acquaint myself with the English academic UK to learn more, to understand the school. Okay. The principal, the people, the friends, I recruit them to be able to help. I'm just a CEO, doesn't mean that you need to go to start classroom to do. Sometimes, maybe a month, 2 months, I'm not there, but the school is running.
Well, so I'm going to take a quick break here, and then when I come back, here we had some pearls of wisdom from Yendi. Don't go away. Thank you very much for staying, and isn't it amazing? Neglected as a childhood, rebelled, gone about, does his own thing, becomes a devout Muslim, driving about, encounters grace, switches, becomes a Christian. At age 35, 36, decides to write O-level, goes up north to say, you know what, let me go and make my candle shine where it's the most darkest. And in the course of that, there's 1,600 churches dotted Ghana and across Africa, and a wonderful school. Now, if anybody watching us today thinks it's too late, I think you have to wake up from your slumber. It's not. It cannot be too late. And I'm sure some of your friends who did not live long enough were to wake up to see you today, they'll drop dead again instantly.
Well, there is my boss who I work with. Maybe he will have a privilege to watch this program. His name is Ofayao. He's one of the greatest transport owners in Kumasi. I drove for him for many years, and everybody even thought I was his son.
I see.
And he gives glory to God anytime he sees me, because he saw most notorious things in my life.
Wow.
And I remember one time, a car owner hired me, and I told him, "Nana, and some of the things, my life has changed. Anybody who knows me know that I'm living on the other side. And there are a lot of things that are gone. Wow. That are true. Maybe one time we can talk about deeper part of our faith and what transforms us.
Let me quickly say how I, fell in love with Reverend here, right? We happened to be at the funeral, and he was called to come and do the sermon. The guy who was dead was quite notorious. And he picked up the mic and says, well, this guy here is quite notorious. He didn't even give himself to Christ. His children says he was notorious, so let's forget him. Now you and I at this funeral, what are we going to do? And I thought, wow, who is this preacher? But as of what's the next phase for this school?
Nana, this school, we are raising $3 million to build an ultra-modern basic school. Okay. And now listen to me, I'm not interested in secondary school, SS or whatever, because the problem in where I live is the foundation. So God has called me to build a foundation that a child from Yendi can come to Achimota. A child from Yendi goes to Wesley Girls. A child from Yendi can be found in OWAS. You see, I want my children to compete the so-called first-class schools, so that Kufuor and Akufo-Addo and Rawlings can be their schoolmates.
Yes.
Okay, which I have a true story that a boy I picked from nowhere. Now, this year, the boy has got an admission to Achimota. When he came to my house, he didn't know how to even speak English. That is my vision for this school. And I want to make it that people of Yendi can also be boasting of something. And that can bring people back home, because most people are not coming home because when they come, where would their children go to school? What would they get? And I'm not getting much because they can't even afford to pay. But with help from other people, I want us to establish this legacy. In fact, when I die, I want to be buried at the gate of the school.
Well, I must say, well done, because I mean, that's really, really giving back to society. That's really giving back to society. Maybe we have to say thank you to Joe and Co, who from nowhere
there are
also
a lot of people God has used to help.
Yeah.
And one of the great people, Reverend Steve Asante is retiring this Sunday.
Okay.
He has been one of the greatest ministers. I have almost about 40 mentors around the United States and other parts of the world. He is my greatest mentor in this country.
Wow.
And
wow.
he has lived up to it. So Sunday he's retiring. So I'm using this to congratulate my dad for being a faithful and honest minister in this country.
Probably if you were to do it all over again, I mean, what would you not have done?
What would I have done? The only thing I would tell any young person is that I wish I have Christ when I was young. There are scars in my body that could have not been there, because I couldn't have done anything differently without Christ. It is Christ that changed and make me who I am. So if I'm to come again, I won't wait till 31 before Christ.
No, I think a message to the wise right there, man. A message to the wise right there. Also, I want to say thank you very much. It's been a privilege and an honor. And I know this message would speak to somebody out there who thinks, oh, I'm 25 and it's too late. I should have started earlier. 36 O levels, so that's like, WAEC, writing your WAEC exams at 36. So get out there and start. And after 36, planted 1,600 churches.
And now I'm now getting 60.
He's now getting to 60 in a magnificent school, and his candle is shining brightest where it's most needed. Until I come back to you next Friday with a different personality, there has been a story and a half. Also, thank you so much.
You're welcome.